Hi, I'm Joe and I'm with FixNation. I want to thank you for coming and watching this video. It should help you manage your colony of cats with the safest and most efficient practices that we offer here at our clinic. We'll give you all that you need to know once you've seen the video. Please contact our website and get in touch with our staff so that you can make appointments, get the equipment you need, and get your project underway. What we're going to need are three main things that I'm going to go over with you. The right equipment, the right timing, and of course the right care and transportation. So what I have here on the table right now is the most successful trap that we use. It's made by Tomahawk, it's 32 inches long, and it gives the cat enough space to rest comfortably and not make a mess of himself overnight, which is going to be very helpful for you in your home. Along with the trap that we lend for free, you're going to be receiving a borrowed trap cover. These are wonderfully made by our volunteers. They're designed to cover the trap once the cat goes in it. And it's designed to cover all four sides quickly and calming the cat. Along with this, you're going to need some items that'll help you through the process. Some of the things that are most important is a bucket so you can clean up, with a brush so you can scrub. I brought about some gloves just to protect your hands, either cleaning or if you're nervous about where you're going with the cats and the traps. A flashlight, because when it starts to get dark outside, you want to be able to check on the cat, make sure you've got the right one. And of course, a 2-pound cat. You want to have a cat that is at least 2 pounds and probably just slightly bigger than this one, so that he can be successfully brought into the clinic, anesthetized, and treated properly so he's big enough, 2 pounds minimum. We have the preparation of the trap, which is going to include a lot of newspaper. What you need at home is to start saving up some newspaper, because it's going to help protect your floor and your car, and it's going to line the trap. The trap itself needs to be lined each day with fresh newspaper. The newspaper that I'm talking about is about a section's worth of newspaper, maybe 4 full sheets folded over, and we would take the open edges of the paper and fold it about 2 inches so that it fits inside, and turn it downward so that it doesn't fly around in the wind. Now both sides are closed, and if it is rather windy, take this tape that we have here and just anchor down the edges, turn them over, and set them inside the trap. The trap door lifts by pushing the door out of the way and holding it up while you engage the trip plate, which raises once the door is held by this mechanism. This paper is folded properly and enters the trap just to the edge of that trip plate, so that the other end, beyond the trip plate, is accessible. We need to have that available for trapping and putting the bait, so the cat will walk far enough into the trap and step on the trip plate as he approaches the food, closing the door. So, that being said, you're going to get the cats ready for the trap and what we call pre-trapping or conditioned feeding. Some cats are very shy and don't want to even get near the traps. So we'll take this release door off, and we will then put a little bit of what they're used to eating right inside. Okay? And if you have a lot of cats, make sure you put some outside too. We don't want them fighting to get in here. What this does is it makes it very, very comfortable and inviting for them to go inside. Once they're doing that and your appointments are made, you put the door back on, and it has to be in place, completely down and latched over this little loop. And double check it so it doesn't open and it doesn't have an accidental release and let the cat go. This is now closed, and for dramatization I will turn this trap around and show you that the food will be in the same position, only we're going to sort of take it up a notch, and we're going to give them something that's yummy, maybe a Friskies can of pate. Not the shreds, not the bits and things that are hard and shreddy in pieces. We want it nice and meatloafy like this pate. We'll take this half a can and we'll put it on something flat, like I mentioned earlier, the foil. And we'll take that, and instead of putting it in the trap, because we don't want to have to go inside and remove it, we want to put it outside under the back end where it's just beyond the trip plate and they have to go for it and step on the trip plate and close the door. So now that I've set the bait in place and I've squeezed it through the bars, it is safe to say that when it's time for me to remove it, I can also just take it away from outside, not reach in and damage my hands or get in any trouble from an angry cat. And now it's time to set the trap. The trap locks itself by being down in the door position, down. You push the door and lift it and hold it by making the little latch catch the door, lifting the trip plate. So now, when the cat usually goes inside for his dinner and leaves, this time he'll go inside, he'll step on the trip plate to get to the food, and the door will close. We're going to cover this trap and take all four sides with this cover that goes all the way to the ground and make sure that he feels like he is safely hiding somewhere and he can be still and quiet for a long time. So you want to take this trap and you want to move it somewhere in a safe place, in your home. The garage is fine as long as you've got it sealed off from predators and it's got good climate control. I prefer the bathroom in my home. I can fit a couple of traps in the bathroom. I can protect my bathroom floor, which is easy to clean anyway, by simply taking the trap into the bathroom that has already been prepared with a nice big flat trash bag. Okay, this lays down flat on the floor of the bathroom, and then I need something to keep the cat from going at the plastic, and I need something to keep the cat's runoff from going all over the floor. Newspaper, again, lots of newspaper. So I put the newspaper down on the plastic, and it's safe for the cat, it's safe for my floors. I put the trap on top of the newspaper. Now that he's in the safe place, you're going to keep an eye on him at least every hour or so, just so that you can keep checking that he's okay and that he's resting comfortably, doesn't have any odd injuries. If you see anything major, you want to get him somewhere to a clinic or to a hospital. If you have just minor concerns, write them down so that when he comes to us in the morning, you can get him looked at by our technicians and doctors. They will treat whatever's possibly available for that cat that day, that time. You put the food back, because why would we rob him of his dinner? You can simply take the food that you had and either mount it up again or however you like and just put it under the trap and give him a chance to eat while you're checking on him, see how things go. If he doesn't eat, it's fine. And if he's not eating, by the time you go to bed, no later than midnight, pull the food away. It's the next morning. You have prepared your car similar to your floor with something to protect the back area of the car and some newspaper to help further protect the automobile. You want to make sure your car has ventilation, okay? If you have a trunk, your seats need to fold down. If you have an SUV, the back hatch is great. We don't want to stack the cats. We want them flat on the floor, and we want to be able to make sure that we're ready to move them into the car and drive safely into our clinic. You'll leave the kitties in the car when you get to the clinic so that we don't have too many people's cats in our lobby at one time. You'll sign in, they'll call you. You'll bring the cats and check them through very quickly. There's a bit of paperwork to be filled out. They'll show you how to do that. And then you can head home and rest and relax and come back later that afternoon. We want you to be here to pick up your cats no later than 4:30, okay? So they can go home and you'll get some follow-up instructions on when to feed them and how much, and then care for them one more night. When you get the cat home, you'll take him into the safe place one more time, and you'll keep an eye on him just as you did the first night, and you'll keep an eye on him even more closely because it is post-surgical. And for the next evening, we want him to sit nice and still and rest well, and this is the best place. This little hospital room is where he needs to stay. And in the same manner you gave him food the night before, you'll give him the less amount of the same kind of food, and it's generally 6 hours after surgery that you could place it in here and let them eat as they wish. And some do, some don't. And then what happens after that, when you get up in the next morning, you'll go outside right where you found the cat and bring the trap, and then use the release door as intended. In other words, you'll stand back, be out of the way, open the door up of the latch, lift the door out of the way, and generally speaking, they will walk out, make their way towards their usual safe outside areas, and finish their recovery and come back, usually for dinner, sometimes a little bit longer than that, but you'll find that they're in great shape. Once you've done this, the kitty's on his way, we have a cleanup, which comes back to washing the cover. Simple laundry will do. Take all the newspaper out of the trap and get the trap to somewhere where you can hose it, get it all rinsed off. Take a bucket of some suds and a brush and start to get in there and clean it out a little bit. Make sure that we get all the old food and the junk off of there, and then rinse it again well with the hose. Then when you're done, you can take this bucket of water and add a cap of bleach of some sort, and then just pour it over the trap so that it gets nice and sanitized. And you then can dry it off so that it dries quickly. Do it yourself and pat it off. And once it's done, you can begin trapping again or bring the trap back to us. We do want you to bring it back clean. We want you to bring it back with the back door on it and the cover. These 3 items need to check in once you're finished. And so what I want to do is help you get a few things that may not be in the usual realm of what we've just done. For example, you might find that there's a special cat out there that you need to get and avoid the other ones, because once they're done and tipped, they oftentimes come back and get in the way of the other ones you want to catch. We oftentimes have a special mama cat out there that you want to get before the others are trapped, and she starts to get a little frightened and disappears, and maybe might even go have a litter somewhere. So we have some special techniques that we can use to help you identify this one cat that you need to get and not get the other ones. And it's sometimes a very simple trick. We have a paper towel roll that's slightly used, and it has a string attached to the bottom. And what this does is it allows you to lift the door on top of the roll of paper towel while I hold the string down the way. I keep it taut but not off the ground. When the right kitty walks in and he goes inside like that, and the wrong ones are not involved, pull the string, and you've got the cat you want. When you find that there might be a kitty that has a different taste and they're just not interested in this wet food, you can change the brand. You can put something like a little bit of fresh fish inside, a little open can of chicken of the sea tuna, and set a bite in here, maybe a bite outside so that they can get in there and feel like it's what they want and go for it, but just a bite, because you can't really get chunks going through the bars and out of the bars. Get them a bite. Once you got them trapped, take them inside and go back to the usual wet pate. This way you can control the feeding and you can remove it safely, and everything's back to normal that way. And if that doesn't work, fish doesn't flavor them, and you've got 1 or 2 that are still out there and they need some encouragement, we found that KFC Original Recipe works really well as long as it's fresh and it's out of the restaurant that night. So it's nice and warm. You can take a little piece of the meat and breading and put it outside, and another bite inside and another bite at the end, and you'd be surprised. Once they taste it, they can't resist it. But save that for the end. You know, you want to make sure that you get the most of them like they usually do with this, and then move it up as you need to. When you make appointments with the clinic, there is one other thing to remember, that each trap has 1 cat and 1 appointment associated with it. If you happen to get 2 cats in the trap at one time, then we have to make certain other arrangements. And if you do this properly, we can make those arrangements. If, for example, 2 kittens walk into this trap and they get trapped together, and they're the right size, at least 2 pounds, and you can get them into our clinic, then leave them in there. They're generally going to get along fine. They're usually brothers or sisters. As long as they're getting along fine, cover them up and keep them together. Because when they come to the clinic, we're going to separate them after surgery. When they wake up from anesthesia, they don't sometimes see each other so lovingly, so we want to separate them for a safe ride home. So bring us the 2 plus the empty trap, and we'll separate them here. Do not try to separate them yourself. So many times they can surprise you with their strength and agility that they're lost, sometimes lost in your own house. So let's just handle it like they're in 1 trap for the night and 2 to come home with. Let me mention one more thing about mama cats. Mama cats are in dire need with their babies if they're born. So if you notice a big mama cat that's walking around and she's pretty hefty and she shows up one evening and she's very thin, you can start counting the weeks, because we don't want to trap that mama cat until about 4 or 5 weeks later, when the babies can stay a little bit more on their own and she can come in for the procedure and be held overnight and recover well. Every now and then we get a mama cat that nobody knew had babies, and the doctors can tell the approximate duration of that birthing. So we can tell if they're recently postpartum, we will tell you to release her the same day. So if it's known, be sure to wait a month or so. If it's not known and it's a surprise, you'll need to get her home and release her right away so she can go back and recover a little more on her own, but be back with her babies because they're very, very much in need of the mom. Thank you for watching this video. I'm sure it's been helpful, but if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to contact us either by phone or go to our website with any questions we can help you with and make sure that this project is a successful one.